All right, we are here now in independent sleeping. We talked about getting to the root, and we went through all those ideas of sleep dependencies and what they are and how they work and how to make sure you're in tune with yourself and the methods I don't like. We are ready now to talk about this key component of this whole Serenity Sleep program, which is the gentle phase out method. Okay, now I want to first tell you that when I created all of these ideas for various ages and babies and everything else a good 10 years ago, I spoke to a lot of parenting experts. I got opinions from psychologists. I talked to them about attachment issues, parenting, trust, creating a bond while ensuring parents are emotionally in balance with their children, and everything you can imagine in terms of the trust issues and the bonding between parent and child. Obviously, everyone had different opinions because welcome to the world, but there was one common undertone that everyone agreed on across the board. As long as a child is completely aware of his parents' presence during this whole learning process, for example, not being left alone to scream, figure it out, get confused, there is absolutely no psychological or emotional damaging happening. Yes, a baby might be angry. But anger is something we can handle, right? We can handle a temper tantrum, but there's no trauma or abandonment going on. So what is this gentle phase out method? Okay, I've told you why I don't advocate leaving kids to cry, and that's true. But what I don't advocate is leaving kids to cry alone with no response from you, or suddenly going from all-out nurse-a-thons to overstimulation coming in and out, or leaving a child all by themselves. There's gonna be some tears involved with what we do. I told you that when we were discussing the different ideas. But because I really have yet to find a completely tear-free approach that does work, but understand that there is a huge difference between a child crying because he's, God forbid, not being responded to, he's alone, he's all by himself, or a child crying because he's not being responded to the way he wants, okay? Keep that in mind. You understand the difference here? Now, no cry methods can sometimes take 6, 7, 8 months, like I outlined. Parents burn out, oftentimes don't get anywhere. So crying is happening because when we're doing this learning process, crying is your baby's form of communication. When he's crying to you, he's telling you, Mommy, I'm angry. I'm trying to tell you something. He's not telling you you're a bad mommy. He's telling you he's mad, he's angry, and he wants something. But as long as he's comfortable, he's fed, he's clean, he's physically comfortable, you don't have to worry that the crying is coming from a deep-rooted place of abandonment, especially if you're with him. He can't be abandoned if you're with him. So I want to talk about embracing your baby's sleep dependency. We're going to get into detail of this gentle phase-out method and how you can apply it, but I first want you to understand the crying. I want you to understand the baseline of what you can expect here because we're teaching new habits, okay? The crying, though, is not getting anywhere deep-rooted. He's crying out of frustration because he's used to being held, he's used to being nursed, he's used to a bottle, he's used to the stroller, he's used to the car, he's used to being in your bed. So when he's crying, he's upset, he's protesting because he's saying, Mommy, seriously? I'm used to all these other things and all my sleep dependencies, and now I'm frustrated because you're not giving in to me and giving me what I want. But what we're doing here is we're basically teaching your baby about cause and effect of the world. When baby does X, you do Y. No matter what his action is, you're giving him the same consistent, secure, loving reaction over and over. So if he's in his crib and he's protesting and he's angry, we didn't talk yet about what we're practically doing. That's in the next part, but just keep this in mind for theoretical purposes, okay? If he's in his crib and he's angry and you're with him, 100% loving him and supporting him, you stay with him, even if he's angry. But even if he's calm, relaxed, happy, you still stay with him. It's cause and effect of the world. It's the same consistent reaction over and over and over and over. And it's not dependent on his behavior because no matter what he's doing, you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Okay? We're making sure that we're really consistently driving that home because this is what's going to teach him to fall asleep. No matter what he does, how he acts, you still respond to him immediately. You give him the same response and you do it over and over and over and over until he gets it. Doing this gives him the security to enable his body to confidently self-soothe without having to play guessing games. Is Mommy here? Is she leaving? Is she going to pick me up? Am I going to have to figure this out? It's all crystal clear. There's no sneak away effect, no games. It's straightforward. We don't want to go in and out of the room, sometimes give a bottle, sometimes do this because it's confusing. He doesn't know what's up, what's down, what's left, or what's right. And this constant support is what's going to teach him to stay asleep. Now, I want you to know everything we're going to do here and embracing the sleep dependency and understanding it, it's probably going to be hard on us, hard on you as the mother. I'm a mother of a lot of kids myself, and we know that even if things are hard, we want to make sure it's easy on our children, harder on us, okay? We never want to damage them emotionally. We never want to do something drastic that could negatively affect them, but if it's hard for us to ensure that they're emotionally secure, sometimes we've got to bite the bullet, right? For example, my 5-year-old did something the other day, and I felt a consequence was very much in line for his behavior, okay? So for what he did, theoretically, it'd be so easy for me to lock him in his bedroom and say, see you later. Would I ever do that? No, never. But I lock him in his bedroom. I can go about do my laundry. I can go deal with the other kids. I can do dinner. But God forbid, he would be so emotionally damaged in a room by himself, locked in, screamathon. I would never do that. So what do alternatively? I do something that's, instead of being easy on me, which locking in the room would be, I do something that's hard on me because I'm a mature adult, but easy on him. Okay, what I do is I take away control of the situation, right? Maybe I make him sit somewhere else for dinner away from the other kids, or maybe I would lessen a privilege or something like that. Now for me, that's hard. Why is that hard for me? Because he's going to be complaining and hanging on me and saying, really, mommy, do I have to? I don't really want to do this. But he's fine. He knows I love him. He's not going through damage. He's just angry. So everything we do here is the same thing. We're taking away control from the situation from your baby. It's going to be hard on you because you're the parent, but your baby's not going to be damaged at all. He's not going to be going through anything difficult because we want to make sure that our child's emotions are always fully supported, okay? So he's going to feel supported by your presence. It might not be the reaction he wants, but you're going to be there and he's going to be okay. And why am I telling you all this? To give you this pep talk and background information. You're only going to stick with something and see it through if you feel positive and good about it. And that's why I want you to understand the psychology behind what we're doing. You know, I don't want you to try something a few nights, go back and forth, because in all honesty, the only thing worse than not doing something is starting and stopping and starting and stopping, because you're going to get burnt out and your baby's totally not going to respond well. Consistency is the absolute factor to determine success of what we're going to do here. And over the course of a few weeks, you're going to start seeing amazing results, but only if you stick with it and believe in it, okay? Now, I want to talk about taking action here and responsibility so you can be ready to move forward and end your sleep struggles, okay? You have to be committed to doing this. If you really want to end your child's sleep struggles, then you have to take responsibility and say, listen, Batya, I'm doing this, okay? I want to see changes and I'm ready for it. And ending this sleep struggle does not mean a power struggle here of continuing it, like this rope here in this picture. It takes two to have a power struggle. I pull this way, he pulls that way, it's back and forth. You're taking scissors here, you're cutting the struggle from happening by saying you are taking control and you're taking it over, okay? Now, I want to talk about completely different components, a little like woo-woo here, but I'm telling you, it is a game changer with all aspects of our parenting, but especially with sleep. I call it the emotional umbilical cord, okay? It doesn't make sense that our babies are attached to us physically while in utero. Suddenly we cut the umbilical cord, they're no longer attached. No, doesn't make sense, right? This whole concept is hands down what's going to make or break the success here of what you're going to do. In the next section, you're going to learn all the details on the concepts of step 1, step 2, night 1, night 2, night 3, night 4. But you got to drive this point home first and really be emotionally ready for it, because otherwise you might not be as successful, okay? Your child is 100% an emotional extension of you. You can't fake what you feel, okay? You could do everything that I'm going to be outlining in the next steps technically, but doing the motions and objectively someone looking at you could say, oh, she's totally controlled, totally has great composure, but on the inside you're like, oh my gosh, who's this Batya? I hate her. I can't believe I'm listening to her. My baby is traumatized. He's never going to learn. This is so hard. He's crying. And you know what? Your baby's going to pick up on that negativity, and it's really hard for him to fall asleep when the stress level in the room is so high. Your emotions play a direct component of how successful and fast your child's going to respond to this. Sitting there, touching him, caressing him, loving him, and doing all these things while you're feeling bitter, negative, upset, it's not going to work. In essence, it's just going to make the power struggle intensify more. He's going to really pick up on all that, and it's going to be harder. You need to learn to neutralize your own emotions, because how you feel is hands down what's going to affect how your baby does, okay? And how well he does. So I'm not telling you to go into this with everything else when you start night 1 with rainbows and sunshine and say, oh, okay, it's going to be so fun, because it's going to be hard work. But if you tackle something with hard work with a positive outlook, it's going to be so different, okay? I can do this. My baby's fine. He's not emotionally traumatized. Batya knows what she's talking about. We're in this together. We're going to go full force, and he can learn that positive confidence from you is going to make it so much more powerful instead of, I can't do this, it's too hard. He's never going to learn, because he's going to pick up on that from you. And how you foresee his ability is almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you view it with confidence that your baby's able, he will respond with confidence and show you that he's able. So you want to do whatever you can to keep yourself in a calm, positive, amazing place. If it means drinking wine, if it means eating chocolate bars, if it means listening to this over and over or calm music, I don't care. But you have to do whatever you can to keep yourself in an amazing place and tell yourself, my baby is going to learn. He can do this. I'm confident. My baby's okay. My baby's not suffering. I'm here. They're not abandoned. It's just a complete, full-fledged baby temper tantrum. And what I want you to do here in this activity in your workbook is create something I call a moment mantra. In that moment, when it's so hard and you feel like giving up and I can't do this and I just want to quit, what can you tell yourself to keep yourself positive throughout this process, okay? Some people say things like, one night closer to sleep, or don't give up, it's going to be done in 2 weeks, or there's sleep at the end of the tunnel, or my baby can do this, it's hard now, but in a week from now it'll be in a better place. Like, try to tackle it from a place of emotions. I can do this, he can do this, we'll get through it. Very simple, very clear, not long-term goals of I want to be an amazing mother and I want to have rest, because honestly, if you're doing this and you're in the meat and potatoes of it in the middle of the night and it's 2 a.m. and you're half asleep, you don't care what kind of mother you are, you don't care about your job, and you don't care about anything other than going back to sleep at that moment. So I don't want it to be logical, I want it to be pure raw emotion. I can do this, he can do this, and I want you to print it up, put it as a backdrop on your phone, and keep it handy so you can make sure that you remind yourself why you're doing this, and you remind yourself that your baby is capable, and you remind yourself that you are able. So that moment mantra is really, really, really important, okay? If your spouse is involved, get him on board, get her on board. If you have a partner who's going to be helping you throughout this process, create it together, but I want it to be really, really real for you, because I want you to get rid of all that stress, get rid of all that negativity, because I'm telling you, I've seen with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families, 10 years plus of doing this, this is what makes or breaks how successful you will be. So I know it's a lot of pressure, right? But it's also liberating, because you, as your own emotions, have the absolute control of the situation. If you are able to work on yourself, it's kind of like a shift in your mindset, but if you're able to do that, your baby is going to respond so much more positively. It's not a matter of just technically getting the job done, because A, you're going to be happier in the process while doing it, and B, you're going to help your baby learn even faster by your confidence kind of emotionally affecting your baby through that emotional umbilical cord. Okay, so write this down, keep it handy, and get ready for the next step, and we're going to get really, really detailed with it all.